So before I wrote this review, I was reflecting on the fact that this movie will be 10 years old this year. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm actually getting older. Iron Man was directed by Jon Favreau and it stars Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Terrence Howard. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my very special series of reviews where I'm going to be reviewing every Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that I have not talked yet. I will not be talking about Thor Ragnarok as I have already reviewed that, but everything else is fair game. This is all leading up to Avengers Infinity War, which will be coming out on May 4th. So I wanted to run through the entire MCU before then. But 10 years ago, Iron Man started it all. This movie was released in 2008, the same year as The Dark Knight. Wow, that was a great year for comic book movies. However, when Iron Man came out, Marvel was in an incredibly different place than it is now. Marvel's three biggest franchises up until that point, Spider-Man, X-Men, and Blade, had ended with whimpers instead of bangs. While all three had great first installments and even better second installments, the third installments were underwhelming, disappointing, and downright repulsive, respectively. It's pretty safe to say that Marvel needed to throw a new iron into the fire. No pun intended. Step right up, Iron Man. The story goes that Tony Stark, who is basically if Steve Jobs and Ric Flair had a love child, has made millions of dollars selling weapons. All of this changes when he is kidnapped by terrorists who are wielding his weapons. He breaks free from captivity with a little help from a suit of iron and becomes the Iron Man. In my opinion, the very first Iron Man movie changed how comic book movies were perceived by both critics and audiences. Thanks in large part to this movie, comic book movies are now some of the biggest and, in most cases, the best movies that come out in any given year. And Iron Man is probably one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. Firstly, let's talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. If there is ever a perfect casting choice for a comic book movie, I haven't seen one yet, because Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark / Iron Man was an inspired choice. He is without a shadow of a doubt one of the coolest characters ever created in comics or otherwise. And RDJ nails the balance of this character perfectly. He has the one-liners and he has the charisma, but he can also be extremely complex. There's also a great evolution of the character. When the movie starts out, Tony Stark is all about money, women, and more money. But after being captured and subsequently escaping, he finds a new lease on life. There's a great scene near the end of the movie where he's talking with Pepper Potts and he's saying that becoming the Iron Man has basically given him his purpose in life. The evolution of this character from this movie and throughout the MCU is truly brilliant. Now let's talk about Obadiah Stane, played by the great Jeff Bridges. He's okay. Don't get me wrong, I think Jeff Bridges can be a great actor. I just think in this movie he was just serviceable. Kind of started a nasty trend with MCU villains, really. He definitely was one of my least favorite parts of the movie, which, again, is not saying much, but even still. Now let's get into the supporting cast, starting with Rhodey, played by Terrence Howard. Now, as we probably all know, Terrence Howard makes only one appearance in the MCU, and this is his sole appearance. He would be replaced by Don Cheadle in Iron Man 2 and all other subsequent MCU movies. And if I'm being honest here, I like Cheadle better. Don't get me wrong, I think Terrence Howard is a great actor, and I think that he and Downey Jr. had great chemistry. But I like Don Cheadle better. Cheadle feels like the more fun version of Rhodey, while Howard feels like the more realistic Rhodey. Don't get me wrong, I think both actors are great, But just on pure entertainment value, I like Don Cheadle just a little bit more. Needless to say, though, Terrence Howard did a pretty good job. Pepper Potts is also a really cool character. I love the relationship that she and Downey Jr. have throughout the movie. Their relationship felt organic and they felt realistic. It wasn't like a stop, start kind of thing like Peter Parker and MJ in the Spider-Man movies. I actually wanted to see Topper thrive. You know, because Tony, Pepper, Topper, you get it. But some of the most exhilarating parts of this movie were the flights and the fights. Let's talk about the flights first. The CGI around Iron Man when he's flying is so cool. It felt so liberating to see him just fly through the sky. Tony's first flight specifically is one of my favorite parts of the movie. But not only could Tony fly, he could kick a lot of ass. My favorite fight was when he was in Galmira fighting off the terrorists that had kidnapped him. Just knocking dudes left and right. It was so much fun. And I love that part where he's staring at the terrorists and they've got women and children with guns to their heads and he's standing there and he's thinking, okay, I gotta take out all of them, but how? He then stands down, focuses, targets all of the terrorists, shoots out these little missiles that get all of them, and none of the women and children are harmed. That was awesome, and I loved it. And then he pulls out the terrorist leader and he throws him to the villagers and he says, "He's all yours." That was awesome. I loved that part. But that was only to be topped by the fact that Tony was then shot down by a tank. He got out of the hole very slowly, walked toward the tank shot another shell at him, he ducked it Matrix style, he turned around, shot a missile at it, walked away, and the tank exploded. Bad ass. Let's talk about the story, because I think this is one of the best origin stories I've ever seen, in comics or in other things. It's basically the story of Tony's evolution from boy to man, in a sense, and if that failed, then the movie would have failed. Thankfully, it was an interesting arc that had a lot of depth, and I loved it. The need to save people by any means necessary, if possible even from themselves, would definitely play a part in not just this movie, but in the rest of the MCU. And the end credits scene involving Nick Fury talking to Tony about the Avengers initiative proved that Marvel was in it for the long haul. Thank God the gamble paid off, because we're still talking about Iron Man to this very day. And that's my review for Iron Man, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for next Wednesday when I talk about the Incredible Hulk. I'm looking forward so much to this series. I hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, please be sure to leave a like. And if you want to catch the rest of my MCU series and my other videos as well, please be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a new video. And did you like Iron Man? Did you hate Iron Man? Or did you think it was just okay? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you want to follow me on social media, the links to my Facebook page, my Twitter account, my Stardust account, and my Snapchat will be in the description below. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.